WWT presents Partner Spotlight.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Partner Spotlight brought to you by WWT Presents. My name is Matt Halcomb. I'm a principal architect here at Worldwide Technology, and today I'm joined by two great friends of mine in the industry, Radhika and Alan Klingerman here. So Radhika is from Intel, Alan is from Dell. So Radhika, go ahead and introduce yourself, if you would, please.
Hey, Matt, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me again. Yes, so I'm at Intel. I'm part of the AI Center of Excellence, and I lead partner strategy and enablement in that role.
So excited to be here once again. So thanks for having me back, Matt. Alan Klingerman, Field CTO of PowerEdge and Artificial Intelligence, supporting all of North America.
Outstanding. Great to have you guys here. Great to have a conversation. I'm sure customers and our partners will all love to hear what we have to say here. So today's topic, surprise to everyone, is artificial intelligence and the journey that we're helping our customers on in their AI Center of Excellence and their journey from some that are, as we all have been working with, have been in this journey for a while and how we're helping accelerate them. But some are brand new to this thing called artificial intelligence. And there's a lot of questions going on out there around how do I do the AI, right? There are a lot of initiatives being pushed down from the executive teams to go do the AI. And they're looking at each other going, what does that mean? And how do we do that? And what does it take to be successful there? And that's why we have great partners like Intel and Dell to help us along that journey and guide our customers in their AI journey. So let's talk around, like, from an Intel standpoint, right? I'm going to throw something at you. So from an Intel standpoint, right, we talk around a very important portion of artificial intelligence being this thing called silicon. So what does Intel bring to the game to allow customers to be successful in their AI journey from a silicon standpoint or component standpoint?
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. We like to think that silicon is the bread and butter, that makes the world go around. But of course, it needs other components too. But I guess let me talk about a couple of things that are happening right from an Intel standpoint. The first is Xeon. And Xeon is a very familiar name to enterprises and IT leaders for decades now. And I want to focus on the Xeon 6 product that we recently launched a couple of months ago, which I think, Worldwide is very familiar with as well. So with Xeon 6, it's really kind of designed from the ground up, if you will, in terms of just being able to address the diverse workloads that we have of today. So not just kind of your traditional enterprise and HPC, but also kind of the emerging, the very power hungry, very compute intensive AI workloads that, we've really seen kind of boom, especially in the last couple of years, right? And the neat thing about the Xeon 6 is we offer two different CPU microarchitectures. And without going into kind of the nitty gritty of it, right? Basically, we have the ability for customers to be able to focus on efficiency versus performance, right? Depending on how you want to architect your data center, customers have flexibility and choice in the kind of the configuration that they want to deploy. And the Xeon with performance cores, which is our AI centric product, right, does have built-in AI accelerators in the CPU, designed for performance leadership, designed for reduced power consumption, especially when you look back to previous generations, right? And with AI being as power hungry and as compute intensive as it is, we do want to make sure that we are addressing that power consumption, need and requirement in the data center. And then I'll also add on the other very exciting product that we have that we recently launched, which is our Gaudi 3, which is an AI accelerator, again, launched with the Xeon 6 earlier this year. Gaudi 3 is purpose-built for inference, large-scale inference, and specifically generative AI workloads, right? The idea is to have a specialty product that can lean in and provide the kind of performance and lower cost, overall operating cost for AI workloads. And with Gaudi 3, we bring in the ability to scale, right, based on open source networking protocols, open source software, which has been kind of a hallmark for Intel to lean in on open source, and really a great kind of alternative to traditional accelerators, depending on the need of the hour in the data center. So we have those two new products hitting the market and bringing choice to customers.
That's outstanding. So options, Intel's providing options. So let's go to the enabler side of the house here at Dell. So Alan, how is I see you guys now as the enabler of that great technology. Tell us a little bit what Dell's doing to help enable those wonderful products.
In fact, I'm going to take one step back before I get into all the cool. I want to talk about my Power Edge children all the time, right? And everything I'm doing in the family. It's incredible what we do to wrap everything and all the great products that Intel brings to market, right? And taking more and more silicon across the board, right? See, as she just kind of walked through CPU, GPU, and of course, networking makes a big component of this. And how do we make sure that we build something that can be run as efficiently as possible as you pull things into production? But I'm going to go back to what you said earlier, because I think where a lot of people that are early in the journey are struggling is like, what am I actually trying to use AI for? Right? What am I trying to achieve? And I always call it back to, you and I've talked about this one for a long time, of like the four primary areas that we're focused on is like, how do we help organizations increase revenue or profit powered by AI? How do we improve their modern user experiences, right? To increase their net promoter score. You have happier customers, they're going to buy more of your products, right? That's a simple fact. And people want to engage with brands in different ways that they know and love, right? We got a lot of followers at Dell. So people want to interact with us in different ways and follow what we're doing in the marketplace. Then we think about it as the easy button that everybody had was just increase productivity. Right? There's lots of things, especially instead of spending all my time going around the Dell search engine trying to find some detailed document that my PowerEdge PG team just posted. I could just go and ask a question, right? Like, hey, in the 9680, what's the NIC configuration? What are the 8 slots that I need optimized for my GPUs? And it just lays it all out. I don't have to go dig around in technical documentation to do that anymore, right? It's the biggest productivity enhancement we ever could potentially have, right? It's more than what we've seen going from mainframes to x86 to software applications like that first big wave, right? With Microsoft Office, frankly, back in the day. And then certainly we think about it as that innovation engine, right? How does the company continue to innovate? And it's going to be powered through, you and I've talked about this for a while, high performance architecture, the stuff we're talking about today. And then that's underpinned by the calculus of either high performance data analytics, traditional AI, or generative AI to achieve those outcomes. But when I think about the platforms, to get back to the silicon side, now that we know what we're trying to solve, right? These are the areas we want to, especially every organization wants to figure out how to increase revenue and profit, right? Everybody wants to grow and they want to grow faster than their competition. And we're enabling that together, right? How do we pull all of this together collectively as the three of us to make it, real outcomes for customers? And especially what I'll kind of start with what she said last. With Gaudi 3, we're super excited, right? We've been a long-standing, in fact, if you don't know this is the 30th anniversary of PowerEdge this year. And, we've a long-standing relationship with Intel going back to our first generation product, right? And everything always Intel in the data center. So, of course, the core of everything Xeon and Xeon 6 is intrinsic to this, and being able to run AI in the most efficient processor, right? To run it at inference at scale to achieve the outcomes I talked about. But we wrap it into our primary platform, right? That you guys have setting in the ATC already. The XE9680, our 8-way system in the case of Gaudi 3, right? With an OCP, an open platform, right? The OCP accelerator module. It allowed us to quickly retool that platform and bring others to market quickly, right? We were super excited about that. And then we make it simpler to use, right? That's the things we've been talking about with the AI factory, or where that frankly started was the Dell validated design. Well, we have a Dell validated design with Intel solutions already published. It's out there. It's a great way of how does a customer take all the great, hardware and software that Intel brings to market? We wrap it and then we validate it with everything else that we bring to the market. Like we have an open source product that we released called Omnia to help from a cluster management perspective. We did this a long time ago for the HPC community. Now we're doing it for the AI community, right? So pulling this together to give a holistic, environment for the customer to actually achieve the results that I talked about earlier.
And thanks, Alan. And I want to touch on a few things I heard there. I heard the word open a couple of times, which I love to hear, because lessons learned from the history that we've been in this industry for a long time, this thing called a mainframe. We learned that mainframes were like Hotel California that you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. And we know that customers don't want to go down that path again. So what I hear, what I see from the two of you as the partnership goes out there, I hear a lot of open coming from you guys. What I'm hearing is options, right? I'm not hearing that you will go with a single type of appliance that has zero options and you're going to do what we tell you to do because the only option that I have is this appliance. So giving the ability, that's going to lead to my next question here, is the agileness in which both Intel and Dell working together enable a customer to basically right size a build, but also have options across the different layers inside of the integrated solution. And it's not thou shalt do as I tell you, because that's what worked best for me. You're enabling the customers to take a look at the technologies that are out there, choose best of breed at times from both a hardware and a software standpoint, bringing that all together as an integrated solution that they then, here we go, the big one, right size for their environment and then scale and grow as their needs change. Because the next question is around power, Alan, right? We have to be concerned around that. I know there's work that both Intel and Dell are doing around AI, and they're not go out there and buy our biggest heavy hitting accelerator with the most amount that we can support in a single box, but let's go out there and have a conversation with you around what are you doing, how are you doing it, and how do you want to do it going forward, right? And Dell definitely gives customers options in that area, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. In fact, those that have heard me speak before, right, know that I talk about silicon diversity and open ecosystems, right, of how do I bring all of this to market, right, to achieve the outcomes we talked about earlier. And when we think about the power requirements, the big challenge sitting around power, right, is we know, especially where everybody is focused today, GPUs are very power hungry in their very nature. So you have to use that technology very judiciously. I need to make sure that I'm using it where I need that power, right? Maybe in a training or fine tune or customization to achieve an outcome. But once I roll into inference, I need to quickly move it to a more efficient place to run that, or should say the most efficient set of infrastructure to run that on. And a Gaudi 3 is a great example of that, right? And one of the things that we're doing, again, back to the easy button of what we're trying to accomplish with the AI factory, is to make sure that we're trying to address the biggest challenges that customers have with AI. To adopt it, right? It's, hey, once I've identified the use cases, I talked about the 4 high-level things we're trying to achieve, and we know the business problems that are tied to them. The AI stuff, as we've been talking about, can be complex, risky, and expensive. So we're trying to build this as an end-to-end tool chain with complete, exactly what you said, openness. Allow the customer to choose the tool chain that they want, but we're going to give them a tested, validated, and supported environment with those choices. So we can say, hey, you're not locked into one thing. I don't have to run just on my system 390. I don't have to run just ZOS. I can go run whatever I would like to, and certainly Intel's been on that journey for a very long time with one API, right? Trying to drive the industry to one common API that all of these, infrastructure components can utilize.
So, Alan, that's great. You made some great points around software. So, Veronica, I'm going to kick it over to you. So, talk around how Intel's working with the industry around the software layer, right? You guys work, there's some great partners out there as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. Yeah, I think Alan kind of, teed it up nicely in the sense that, open, Intel has always been a stalwart of open, right? We've always believed in having an open ecosystem for software. It just fosters innovation. It provides choice and flexibility for customers. So there's like positives all around when it comes to just having an open ecosystem. And I think specifically around AI, we rely a lot on the ecosystem for things like, open source models. We have a huge repository with Hugging Face, for example. They're one of our biggest partners when it comes to just being able to access, any kind of model that you want to run, on your infrastructure, right? So being able to have those close partnerships with giants like Hugging Face, I think helps kind of just drive that value value for the customer, right? So that you do have an option to be able to try out different types of models, to be able to fine tune them for your needs and for your industry and for your data set specifically, and just drive to the business outcomes that you're looking for as an enterprise. So that's one thing. Alan also touched on One API, which has been around for a while and has always been our premise of kind of driving towards oneness in terms of just being able to implement software across the ecosystem. So with One API, we're again opening up removing kind of, I should say, the proprietariness of the code underlying, and we're allowing more and more innovation to kind of come through and making sure that everybody has an opportunity to take advantage of that, right? And build their tools and their capabilities around that open system innovation, if you will.
Awesome. So another topic I want to touch on. So we touched on the silicon, we touched on the software, we talked on facilities a little bit here. Let's talk around process. We can definitely run our AI workloads on like Rodwell and Haswell procs, right? No, we can't, unfortunately. So, if there are any C-level individuals watching this, we want to bring that enablement tool into the picture here. So Radhika, again, you talked around some great accelerators inside the Xeon Scalable processor, right? So a word that I love to use around worldwide here is the world enablement. So taking an idea and bringing it to reality requires enablement. So let's talk around data center modern hardwareization that has to happen in an industry that, as they go down this AI journey. Those things have to kind of, to me, go hand in glove, correct?
100%, right? In fact, I would probably take a step back a little bit and just think about your data center infrastructure, right? The data centers of today are evolving so fast. Matt, you know this better than us, right? There's all kinds of vectors coming into play beyond your traditional kind of cost, reliability, scalability parts. Now you have to, they look at things like, throughput, latency, overall total cost of solution, right? How accessible is this infrastructure going to be? The cost of AI being consumed across the organization. These were not metrics that you would have thought of, 5-10 years ago necessarily. So, when it comes to things like that, the power consumption, obviously we touched on this earlier, those old systems are just not power friendly, let me put it that way, right? And designed for today's kind of very intensive compute workloads. So the newer CPUs and the newer infrastructure that we have is designed to take that into account, right? Technology advances year over year. And so to your earlier point, can you run AI workloads in Broadwell and Haswell? No. Right? and you don't want to as well. So it's important to kind of look at the infrastructure and also understand that the accelerators and the capabilities of today's technology, right, and today's systems far outpace what you have in your data center today. And they can just as well do the traditional enterprise workloads like I talked about earlier, but they are also future looking, right? So they can cater to your more modern kind of AI workloads as well.
So Alan, I'm going to lob a softball at you now here. So as Intel creates the innovation, the customer would have to completely learn a new skill set to support that new innovation in Dell, right? Or is it the same?
Absolutely not, Matt. The great thing is, think about the core and the core tenets of what we always had of cyber resiliency and autonomous infrastructure and purpose built. All of that still remains. There's nothing that changes. In fact, if anything, the purpose built means even more today, right? Back to everything we're talking about today. So having a purpose-built platform for specific applications or workloads is more important than ever, especially as Matt, you and I have been talking about this one forever, as we start to step slowly as an industry into full composability in the data center, right? Which really brings us that next level of openness with CXL and all the excitement that's happening in that space. So I think about it in context of just think about the core values of iDRAC and our open managed software platforms. And what I think is very powerful, as some of the discussion we're having here, is Power Manager, to be able to control power at not just a unit level at a server, but being able to do now, like in Power Manager, do it at the rack, row, or pod level. So think about what that could mean to control those costs over time, and especially as we started to see, we know utility rates, are starting to be in certain areas surge priced, just like transportation is. So if I can make sure that, I'm maximizing the power and value I'm getting out of the platforms at the right time based on power costs, that again, back to things that have changed, but I have a set of tools that we've always had, a common set of tools to get it done. I'll also make this comment. Like, I always get this question. I know you do, Matt, and I'm sure Radhika does as well. When you think about this, like, hey, I starting to see the use case. I've got a couple. I want to do this at scale. Okay, I want to put an AI factory down. Then they start looking at the actual infrastructure required to do it. And it is a little bit of a challenge, right? It is new. And what I mean by that, it's really more the power and cooling still. We're doing everything to make it more efficient, but it is considerations that I didn't have to factor in before. How do we do that more efficiently? I'll tell you one way that I think it is. Back to what you just said there, I think for many organizations, IT transformation and tech refresh right now are more important than ever. I think we've been talking about this for a very long time, Matt, of like, we need to go modernize your data center. Now's the time to do that. We know these things live in containers. What's your container first approach on-prem? There's a great question for a lot of our viewing audience. And then, oh, by the way, I need a modern set of infrastructure components to get it done. And through some of that, what can I do? Think about like Xeon 6, since we're talking about it, right? Super exciting. I've been able to do up to a 7-to-1 consolidation over just a couple generations ago. Think about what that means of power and cooling to give back to the AI initiative that I'm trying to drive. Like, that's pretty impactful right now. Now I free up a dance floor on my data center, that power and cooling and space to land my AI initiatives. So I think it's more important than ever, and it's a technology stack that, back to your point, everybody's familiar with, especially if they're PowerEdge. If not, we'll be glad to get them educated on iDRAC and OME together, I'm sure.
So again, I think you're hearing, we've done a great job talking around the technology, but what we haven't really talked around, and I think you kind of hinted to it, is the complexity of what potentially our customers could be running into. And to me, it's important that this conversation is happening with two great partners of Worldwide, with Intel and Dell, and how we together are working to help simplify the complex. But where are we doing that? Right now, so I'm going to bring back a bit of a shameless plug around something that both of your organizations helped with, building out WWT's own AI Proving Ground, where we're enabling our customers to come in and take a look at how they stitch together potentially their own center of excellence for AI. Not just look at, we talked around performance, right? And number of tokens necessary to complete it, or what size LLM, but taking a look at the entire stack and how do I integrate silicon and software together. We even have asks coming in the door right now around what is the performance per watt, or when I run a CPU or an accelerator at a certain percentage rate, how much power do I require for that? We're even being asked to take and use flare cameras to show hotspots on technology even. So I want you guys, give me some feedback on how it's been with each of your organizations. Radhika, I'll start with you around how has it been for Intel to work with Worldwide within our AI Proving Ground and our ATC?
Sure, Matt. So I am a big fan of environments like the ATC and the AI Proving Ground, right? Because they provide customers with literally a playground, right? So customers have the opportunity to come in and test out the latest hardware and software stacks that are out there with the experience and expertise of somebody like a Worldwide, right, who can provide kind of that lens of, what are the use cases that we can kind of put in on here and see how they turn out, right? So that when the customer is making an investment, right, they know that it's been tried and tested. And that's the reason we continue to invest, right, in the AI Proving Ground, because we see a lot of value in terms of, kind of just customers being able to come in and experiment and experience, potential business outcomes that they can see with their environment, with their enterprise, before actually going in and making those capital expenditures, if you will. So 100% aligned, 100% a fan, for sure.
Outstanding. Alan, care to add?
Yeah, of course. Always a lot on the ATC. It's my favorite area. Let me call this out of what you said earlier that I think is very important. And you and I've talked about this one for a while. I feel AI more than this has ever been in any domain in IT. I kind of call it's the biggest team sport there ever was. We can't do this individually. None of us can, right? How do we pull this all together as a team to be able to help a customer achieve the outcomes and ROI that we talked about earlier? Where do we meet? We meet in the ATC, in the proving ground. That's where we get it done. I love what you said there of like the heat cameras and trying to do that, because that is probably one of those realities. Even if DLC or other esoteric technologies that some customers may not be ready for at this time, that becomes a real important component of that, right? Because I do need to think about hotspots and zoning within my data centers and what are the crack and the airflow of things that people haven't thought about in a few years, right? Maybe they were an IBM mainframe and they had some chillers and doing some things. They removed that thing and they kind of lost their expertise in that space. So we think about it end to end, right? Hardware, software, and ecosystem, because even with all the things that Dell does and that Intel does, none of us, right, have all of this. You're the orchestrator at the core, right? Especially with our software ISVs and our partnerships there to bring it together and make it real for the customer. And there's no better place than the proving ground, right? It was in the name. It is the proving ground.
That's
How
right.
do I prove out this proof of concept so that you can go forward, put it at inference, and just get some value?
That's going to go on my next T-shirt I get made up. No better place than the AI proving ground. That's so guys. Again, I know your calendars are packed, like mine. I know we could sit here and probably talk about this for hours upon hours. I know our viewers probably got to get back to things as well. So I want to thank you both for joining us today. Bringing together the great partnership between Worldwide and Dell and Intel, a true powerhouse in the industry, helping our customers evaluate technology and be successful in their data center and their AI endeavors. Definitely, they can depend upon this group, this trio, along with us bringing other partners to the party. Right? It's an open ecosystem we called out, and we're all in this together to help kind of drive their success, right? Any last comments, you guys?
No, thank you, Matt. It's been a pleasure. The partnership between Dell and Intel and WWT is a strong one, as you alluded, and it's been ongoing for years together, right? So we work well together. I think the customers benefit with us coming together, and ensuring that they have the best experiences and the best outcomes for the investments that they make. So always a pleasure to work with great partners like you and Alan.
And I'll just call out too, like when we think about it from the AI factory perspective, right? You were the first one to get any type of investment from Dell Technologies like that worldwide. So being able to truly, bring an AI factory to life to show what that could do across server, storage, and networking, and an orchestrated platform that's tested, validated, and supported, I think is very key. And then you guys laying down the ISVs, right, of being able to make some of those use cases come to life. This is the key, right? It's the partnership. We're one team here to make it a reality.
Awesome. So viewers, I know you guys are busy. I hope you enjoyed the conversation we had here. Know that both of our partners here with Intel and Dell, I'm going to invite each and every one of you guys out there to go out to www.com platform. Take a look at our partner pages. Take a look at all the content, the videos, the labs, the articles, the blogs we have out there, helping you understand the technology. It's all about education, learning the art of the possible, and then understand that we're all in this together to help you guys out. So I want to thank Radhika. Alan, I want to thank you as well. Viewers, I want to thank you for tuning in and listening to this. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. You can reach each one of us on the platform on WWT.com. And we'll see you guys all again real soon when we come back and do this again. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.